Hello everyone and welcome back to our 9-month odyssey around the world. Well, everyone is always asking us, well, what's your favorite place? What did you see? What was your favorite thing to see? Well, today is definitely a top 5 most beautiful stop on all of the world cruise.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we are living that full life, traveling all the way around the world and seeing the beauty of the world on the ultimate world cruise.
We sure are, friends. Well, here we're in Olden, Norway. Now, Olden, Norway's not right there on the coast of the North Sea. Instead, our cruise ship has to go up some beautiful fjords to a little bit interior portion of Norway. And beautiful it is. It is spectacular.
It is absolutely stunning, and we were fortunate enough to get some time-lapse video from the bow of the ship, and actually then going out on the aft of the ship, we put a camera in one of our friends' balcony that had an aft balcony there. And you know, you're seeing some of that video here as we're talking, but I think what we'll do, there's just so much beauty here. We'll put a montage of it together at the end of the video, and so you can see as much or as little of it as you want. So stay tuned to the very end of the video, and you'll be able to see much more of the fjord trip, both into and out to Olden, Norway. And that's why you come quite often to Norway. I mean, the fjords are spectacular.
Yes.
You know, we have seen Chilean fjords in the area of the Antarctic. We've seen them on the Dalmatian coast in Europe. We've seen, you know, but these really just excel above everything else that we've seen. I'm sure Captain Stig would be happy to hear us saying that in his home country. But so don't miss the fjords of Norway. This is what you want to go on a Scandinavian cruise to see.
Yes. Well, once we had sailed in and docked here, and there's only room for one cruise ship to dock. In fact, there was a second cruise ship that had to tender their passengers back and forth. But Olden is very small. It's only a population of about 700 people, and it's kind of spread around here in the area. But right at the port, there are a couple of souvenir shops, a little ice cream shop. That's what you'll find right there. But we got off the ship, and there were little booths, and we were able to book a tour.
Yeah, we did. We booked it with Olden Adventure, and it's one of the companies there. In fact, it's kind of the company there. And I think even if you book on your cruise ship or you book through Shore Excursions Group or Viator, you're probably going to be booking with Olden Adventure. It's the same company, but we got off the cruise ship and booked directly with them. In fact, the owner of the company, she was there, and we talked to her. And the nice thing there is we got a combo ticket. So we got a ticket to do the two things that we really wanted to do. We wanted to go up the Loen Skylift and go to the top of the mountain that overlooks the fjord. And we wanted to go on Lake Loen and see the beautiful waterfalls and take that trip up. Now, the Lake Loen isn't actually, so to speak, a fjord. It's a lake, but it looks like a fjord, right? It's cut down through the mountain there. And so you have to take a bus to either one of those, and our ticket took care of that for both.
Well, so immediately we got on the bus that took us to the Skylift. This was the first part of our combo ticket, and you want to do that right away because you want to have time to do both things. And so we wanted to get up to the top of the mountain and do some beautiful sightseeing.
Yep, so we took that Skylift. It takes you almost straight up the mountainside, and it's a gorgeous view as you're going up the Skylift, and as long as you're not afraid of heights, I guess. And we made it to the top, and at the top, again, they have an observation deck, beautiful overlook of the fjord. You can see Lake Loen, you can see our cruise ship, you can see the mountains. It's just, this again is why you come to Norway. Just, you stand there with your mouth open, it's just stunning. But we also met some friends at the top at the Skylift, and you know, again, your knees were hurting a little bit, so you stayed with one of our friends there in the visitor center and just enjoyed all the overlooks. And then 4 of us went on a hike to get to a peak overlooking the fjords, and it was just absolutely wonderful. It was quite barren up there, actually, with rocks and all the moss and everything that's up there that high up on the mountain. Where normally we're there in August, so the snows have melted from the winter. You've got glacier water up there, everything. But yeah, it was incredible just hiking and going up there. We came back, and I did tell you there were 2 areas you probably would have struggled with, and we didn't have your hiking poles with us. So it's probably a good thing you did stay at the bottom because it got rather steep. But we had a ball up there, just had a great time overlooking. We could see over to the next fjord and
I like
enjoyed
that
it.
little glass enclosure that showed all of the skyline, basically showing what all the mountains were and everything that you were looking at.
Yeah,
that was nice.
That was
to
right there at
see.
the visitor center. I love those. Yeah, it's almost like a virtual reality thing, but it's just glass and drawings. And so yeah, we've seen those in a couple places, and this was one of the best done that I'd seen. But yeah, we enjoyed all the sights at the visitor center, the overlook. It seems like you just sit up there all day and take in the
You
sights.
really could.
But we couldn't because we had another ticket to get to our boat ride on Lake Loen.
So we got on the gondola and took it back down, and it is really steep, friends. If you have a fear of heights, this might not be for you because it is almost straight down.
Yeah, it comes over that first piece that's sticking out over the, over the cliff, and it does. Those cables are hanging what seems like straight down, and it's quite the ride, but it's
Feels
also
like
quite
it.
the view. It really
was
is beautiful. And it is smooth. It doesn't drop or anything.
Right.
It's a very smooth,
Right.
even ride. But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. It was a beautiful, beautiful ride.
Well, when we got down to the bottom, we caught the bus that took us back to our cruise ship. And from there, we basically just walked across the parking lot to catch the next bus that's going to take us to our boat ride.
Right, on Lake Loen. And this, so the lake is just separated. In fact, you saw that from some of the views up at the top of the Skylift, that you can see the tip of Lake Loen over there. And that's where we caught the boat. And again, the owner of the company was narrating, and actually her husband is the captain of the boat that takes us up and down. So then we started our trip up beautiful Lake Loen.
Well, we are taking a 1-hour boat ride now, and it is spectacular. We're just taking in all the waterfalls and all of the scenery. It's, again, just stunning.
Glaciers, the whole thing, yeah.
And they're telling us a lot of the history of the area, which has been rather fascinating, that back in 1905 and then again in 1936, part of the mountain has collapsed, and it would collapse down into the lake and the fjords and would create these great waves, and these great waves would wipe out an entire village back in 1936. I mean, the whole village was destroyed. It killed 75 people.
All the farmland that was all surrounding the lake.
Yeah, and they do have a lot of fear that this is going to happen again.
Yeah, in fact, they're pretty sure it's going to happen again. It's just a matter of time. I mean, in the end, it's geology, right? Mountains erode, especially with all the glaciers and the waterfalls and everything. So yeah, that was kind of a sad part of the history that we learned. But they did rebuild, and at the end of the lake, they took us to a restaurant
that they own. And their restaurant is called, Kjenndal.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Kjenndal. Yeah, so, and this was an included part of our tour, and in this we got wonderful Norwegian waffles.
Okay, these were really good, friends. They were a soft waffle. They're rather thin, and then they put on one waffle, you'll put sour cream. On the second waffle, you will put a jam or a jelly, and then you combine the two like a sandwich. But they were really good. It really was good.
Yeah, so it was a little waffle buffet. You went up and they had coffee, tea. This was all included. You got your waffles and your jam and your sour cream. And so we sat by a window with our friends and enjoyed just this beautiful view. Ate our waffles. So the reason that we're sitting here having waffles at this point, other than the waffles are wonderful, is we're actually stalling a little bit because they're going to take us to the Kjenndal, I believe I'm saying it right, glacier. And so they can only take little tiny buses of people up to where the hiking trail is, and then you have to hike to go see the glacier. So while one group went on the minibus, we were having our waffles, and then we got on the bus, and then they had their waffles. So it was a nice way to fill the time while you're waiting for the other group to see the glacier. So we did then, after the waffles, get on the bus, drove up to the hiking trail, and took the hiking trail to where we had a nice view and overlook of the Kjenndal Glacier. Now here's a little bit of fun fact, a little history of our family. We toured Norway with our children back in about 2002, 2003, and we were in the next valley over for the Bergsdal Glacier, which is extremely famous here. And you can see pictures of our kids and what we saw with the glacier there. And in fact, we took a horse-drawn carriage up to where they drop you off to see the glacier and then took it back. It was just a wonderful experience, and we mentioned it to our guide going, oh, we were here 20 years ago and we took a horse and carriage. And they go, oh, you went on that? And she's like, well, when were you here? And we told her, she goes, oh, like a year after that, we banned that. We don't let that happen anymore. And we're like, what happened? She said, well, one of the horses kind of went crazy, pulled the carriage, and it tipped, and it actually killed some people. Yeah. We're thinking, oh my gosh, we had our kids in this in this cart, and they ended up banning it just a year or two after we were there. Well, now they have what's called troll cars. So instead of horses, they're basically ATVs or kind of John Deere Scouts or whatever, that type of ATV where they load people up and then they take you up to see the glacier up there at the Bergsdal. So a little different now.
And a lot of passengers on the cruise ship did those troll cars, and they said they had a lot of fun with them.
Right, it's another adventure that you can have here in this area. So yeah, again, what we're learning on the World Cruise and as we're doing this type of travel, absolutely take advantage of each situation that you get put into, because you never know, the next year they may cancel that, ban it, the company may go out of business. It was like you holding the koala in Australia. A few months later, it's like, now we banned holding koalas.
Do we want to go into there thinking of banning cruise ships in Norway?
Well, exactly. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. We feel so blessed to be here in Olden because now Norway is talking about banning cruise ships going up these fjords. And fortunately, that was going to happen, I think, in 2025, 2026. They've now pushed that out because I think they're realizing, well, wait a minute, you've got these little villages here. They're absolutely dependent on tourism. That's what they do. Like the owner of the company, that runs the Loen Lake boat and, all the buses, the restaurant, all that. Suddenly you take away all these tourists and, their livelihood's gone. Well, how do you replace that? So I think they're trying to do this balance between being environmentally conscious, here on, in Norway, which they absolutely are, and we agree with that balance of tourism and how do you, maintain that. So, take advantage while it's here. It is, go on that Scandinavian cruise if you've ever wanted to. Do it as soon as possible because you don't know when these things are going to be banned in the future.
Well, once we got back on the boat for our hour ride across the lake. And again, it was just stunning and spectacular. One of the things that we would see were these little cottages. And the cottages, you can rent these. So if you want to come up here and stay for a period of time, enjoy the beauty, do some hiking, you can do some kayaking in the area. Also, the restaurant we were at has a hotel attached to it. So there are places that you can stay.
Well, we made it back to the ship and the parking lot area there. We did go across the street there to those little shops. We poked our head in, looked around. We got a towel that was a Viking towel because our son-in-law is a Minnesota Vikings fan, so we got that for him. Oh, our poor grandchildren. Well, I don't know what he's doing there.
Chiefs.
I know. So, well, then we got back on the ship and we had to get ready for our next day, and we're heading up and continuing our Norwegian adventure in Ailsen, Norway. So we're going to go to this charming town, take a little petite train. We're going to go up the mountain and overlook, but we also get some news that's going to have implications on our world cruise itinerary. We've got more changes coming.
All right, friends, so be sure, again, to stay tuned to the end. We're going to show you more of our fjords, sail in and sail away. But we thank you for being with us, and we'll see you very soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye now.